Well, hello everyone. I'm hoping that we landed. Let me make sure I can come on over here to the chat and see where we landed. But if you are brand new to me, I am Zakia Ringgold, and we are kicking off our very first LinkedIn Live series. Now, we do have you out there on Facebook Land and YouTube, but if you want to get all the details, be sure that you're connected with me on LinkedIn. So this is a series that really came out of I work with a lot of small business owners, and many of them are saying that, hey, Zakia, I want to build a course. And I have a really long history, which we won't go into all of that. But interestingly enough, when I started live streaming in 2015, I thought that I would teach people how to teach people. Interestingly enough, soap making became my thing, technology became my thing, and now we are 100% back at a 360 teaching people how to teach people. Hello, Erica Bates. Thank you so much for showing up on the LinkedIn side. So, I have a presentation for you all. You know, if you have ever been here with me, we never ever believe in monologues. If you have questions, I am going to do this a little bit differently. Be sure to put those questions up there. But aside from this presentation, I have also created a resource library that we will continue to add content to as we build out the series. So I'll show you how to get all of that and everything. And then, of course, if there are questions, once we get through everything, I will make sure to come back and answer any of those questions that you have. If you know somebody that is a consultant, a coach, a small business owner that has tons of knowledge that they need to get out there, they need to package it in a course, you definitely want to share this broadcast with them because we are going to be covering so much in a very short period of time to make sure that they can do it effectively. Hello, Laura. How are you? Now, guys, if you come in, once we get started, it's not that I don't see you. It's not that I don't want to talk to you, but I got to make sure that I can repurpose this without pulling my hair out. Erica Bates says, hooray for resources, because that is so, so very important. But again, if you have questions as we're going through, be sure to submit them on the resource hub that I have for you all. You can even submit me questions afterwards. I do recognize that most of my viewers come on the replay. And if you don't get a chance to ask your question, you can definitely do that. And if you want to leave me feedback on Zakia, make sure you go into this next time. Or I absolutely loved it. You'll be able to do that in the resource hub. So without further ado, let's get this party started. We want to talk about how to validate your online course idea. So, like I said, I'm Zakia, and I will be with you for the next 4 sessions right here on LinkedIn Live, teaching you how to build your online course. And I have a question. Have you ever had an idea, whether you are an employee, your clients, or for your community, like for any of those people that you were really excited about, but then you second guessed whether it would actually work? If so, this series is going to be for you. Over the next few sessions, I'm going to show you how to ensure that your course idea is built on a very strong foundation so that it ultimately will resonate with your audience and deliver real impact. We want to have an actual change. It's not just about getting dollars in our pocket, although we can absolutely sell our courses and we should be selling our courses. If you have taken the time to gain that knowledge, those skills, those abilities, you should be able to charge what it's worth and for that transformation that it's going to give people. Now, let me tell you why I'm actually here teaching this. I spent 15 years in the corporate world as an instructional designer. So I helped organizations create programs that solved real problems. And when I launched my own businesses, I did realize that those same skills that I was leveraging in the workplace were the key to helping me not only build training, but identify the tools that worked, create coaching programs and systems that ultimately got my desired results. So, one thing that I've noticed, whether it was in the corporate space or in the entrepreneurial space, is there's a similar pattern. So, whether you are in corporate or you are coaching entrepreneurs, I keep seeing the same frustration. People would build a course without validating it. They were pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into courses that weren't really aligned with what their audience needed. And that's not just a waste of time for them, but it can also be very discouraging. You might have a really good course idea, but if your audience isn't after exactly what it is that you have, you can save a lot of time by doing this very first step of validation. So, this series is really here so that we can change that. Whether you are a seasoned trainer or just starting out, I'm going to be guiding you on the exact steps that you need to validate your course idea and make sure it's something that your audience truly wants. And by the end of tonight, you'll not only know how to validate your idea, but you'll also have actionable steps to move forward with confidence with creating your course. So if you've been waiting for a sign to turn that course idea into reality, I'm telling you now, this is that sign. This is the sign that you've been waiting for. And so if you are considering building a course, I hope you'll join me on this series. Okay? So that's my whole intro part there, but here's what we're going to actually be covering in this particular session. Now, like I mentioned, it is a 4-part series. Let's talk about what you are going to walk away with today. And what I'm trying to do is model what you should be doing in your course. People should know from the onset, why am I investing this time with you and what can I expect? And that way you can kind of change those expectations or manage those expectations. I will tell you that again, this is just part 1 of the 4-part series. So if you've came here for the tools, how to actually build the course, how to market the course, that's in 2, 3, and 4. But we have to get that foundation solid. So, first off, you're going to understand why validation is a critical step in the course creation process. We're going to break it down so you know exactly why it matters and how it can save you time, money, and effort, and how the work that you do when you're validating your course is going to help you to not only build out your course, but to market it to your audience. Second, you're going to learn 3 actionable methods to validate your idea. Now, these methods don't require a huge budget or a team, just some strategic thinking and the right tools. And we would not be Business Tech Lab if we didn't introduce some tools. And we will definitely be exploring one of my favorite AI tools that you can use to streamline your validation process. So it's going to make it faster and easier for you and tell you how much money is in what it is that you're considering doing. So I'm going to pause for the cause because I see a couple of you have joined on the LinkedIn side. It just says LinkedIn user for whatever reason. But hello there. How are you? Fran is here as well. And then we also have a here. Foundation is everything. Foundation is so critical for anything that you do. And I'm hoping that I break it down in a way that makes it easy to understand. But before I do that, I do want to show you all the online course resource. I want to make sure that you are fully supported. And again, I'm attempting to model what I hope that you do in your courses. It's not enough to just have the presentation, hope they take really copious notes. How can you support them with performance support tools? And that's what I've built out in the online course creation resource hub. So what you'll get there is, and where you go is links.businesstechlab.com. Let me just quickly switch that over. Let's do a quick switchy. I don't think I was supposed to switch that soon. When I practiced this, I wasn't going to do it. Hey, Peachy. So this is the online course creation hub. I've created it in the, if you are subscribed to my LinkedIn newsletter, there was a link in the latest LinkedIn newsletter for you to get here. But you'll be able to download the course validation blueprint. You'll also be able to submit your questions and your feedback. I am hoping that some brave soul is going to click the record button and leave me some feedback about this series, because I'm using this to validate my course idea. And then also, if there's a question you have. Additionally, I know there are some people that are not DIY, or you are DIY, but you want to book a one-on-one consultation with me. You can do that there as well. I will be doing a podcast series that goes along with this. So maybe you're an audio learner. So I'm putting a lot of concepts out there, but I will bring them all together. But every episode will also be listed in this resource hub, and we will continue to build it out as we go on. And then, of course, subscribe to my newsletter. You can also make sure you're connected with me on my two favorite channels of either LinkedIn or YouTube. And if you have just stumbled on me and you're like, who the heck is this girl? Why should I care? You can get to my about page that tells you just a little bit more about who I am, why I do what I do, and the businesses and all of that stuff. So that way I didn't have to cover all of that in tonight's session. All right, so let me switch back to our presentation because I will get off track and you didn't come here for all of that. Miss Pearl, I just talked to Miss Pearl today. Thank you so much for joining us live, Miss Pearl. Happy to have you. All right, so let's go on, guys. Now, I do have one more thing. Before we start talking about validating your online course idea, I want to make a very clear distinction between the 4 C's that you may encounter as you show up in your business or interacting with clients. And being very clear on the distinction is very important in providing clarity about what your clients can expect from you. Each of the roles in this development piece play a role in how you show up and if your outcomes are unique and what people are expecting when they engage with you. Sometimes you may see that you play all 4 roles, or you may fit very neatly into one. But let's take a look, and I'm going to use the analogy of building a house as our example to illustrate what these roles mean. So there are 4 C's, and I'm going to add this podcast episode on there. And this is important for you as you are seeking out support in your business, as well as if you are going to be the one providing that support. And I call it the 4 C's of development. You're either going to be engaging a consultant, a coach, a course, or a contractor. And they all represent very different pieces of the same puzzle trying to get to a similar outcome. And understanding their distinctions is going to ensure, so going back to our house analogy, it's going to ensure that your dream house is built with precision. And the expectations of the client are really aligned with when they engage with you in either the consultant role, the coach role, I'm coming to you for a course, or I'm coming to you for a contract. There is going to be something very different about what those expectations are. So when we look at it from the house perspective, the consultant is your architect. You share your vision and they draft blueprints, maybe even strategies that ensure your home is designed to fit your needs, your budget, and your lifestyle. They don't actually lay the bricks, but they do provide you with a detailed plan for others to follow. So, when would somebody leverage a consultant? And if you have leveraged a consultant, put that in the chat for what you leverage that consultant for. But the example I give, especially for small business owners, is if you are in the very early stages of your journey. Or you might need to pivot in your business. COVID, a lot of businesses were pivoting. And a consultant could help you map out the strategy, whether it's outlining that business plan, designing a customer journey, or even creating a marketing roadmap. But you want to be careful as the person in that role. So, because if you call yourself a consultant, but jump right into execution, you'll be misaligned with those expectations. Clients may be coming to you expecting high level strategy, but they may feel dissatisfied when they receive implementation instead because they were looking for more of the blueprint. And someone said a funnel strategy, so you might have went to a funnel consultant. Yep, that makes 100% sense for sure. Um, and that's Peachy, I think. Peachy, it's coming up as LinkedIn user on this side, but I know who you are. But the next one is if you have the coach. And there's two examples for the coach. You can think of a football coach. That's the one example that I always use when I do these 4 C's. A coach does not get on the field and play. A coach does not do all running of the plays. They are there for typically your accountability. They don't draw the blueprints, but they do create the plays. They're on site really to guide you and to hold you accountable. And it also ensures that you're building according to the plan that either you've set up or the consultant has created. They'll also motivate you to stick to whatever that vision is, even when challenges arise. That's typically when you need a coach. You may be struggling with mindset blocks, get with my girl Fran over there, any of those things. But a coach and a consultant operate in two very different ways. And one thing I like to say about a coach is they're helping you to pull out something that you already have and that already exists. So, when would it be a good time for you to get a coach? Let's say that what you want to achieve, but you need help with the execution, whether it's improving your leadership skills or you're having a lot of trouble delegating. You know that you should, you're just uncomfortable for whatever reasons. You might be having some kind of mindset block, or you need to refine your sales technique, or you know that you need to implement a funnel to Peachy's point, but for whatever reason, you just fall short and you stop. And you're just not staying consistent with your goals. And again, for each one of these, I'm going to tell you, as the person that is sitting in the role of a coach, you want to make sure that if you are selling coaching, but instead you start providing the step by step instructions, meaning you're telling them, do this, do that, do this, do that, you're not allowing that coaching relationship to grow the way that it should. Or if you execute the task for them, you might be stepping into a contractor role. And maybe you haven't priced it right if you're actually doing the work for your clients. So, coaching, I want you to remember that's about empowering clients to take ownership or your learners to take ownership of what it is that they do. Next up is the course creator. This is the person, or I call them the instructor, who teaches and if we go back to the house analogy, I know I keep going back and forth, but I'm hoping that using the analogy is helping it to stick. But the instructor is the one who teaches the individual how to actually build. This role is like the DIY for home improvement. I want to build my own deck. I don't want to pay anybody. So I might watch YouTube University. I might go to Home Depot and take one of those classes. And they're going to provide the lessons, the tools, the frameworks that an individual needs in order to not only understand but apply specific skills. Now, the course is going to guide you in, or if we go back to the home analogy, for like laying the tiles, how to install lighting, how to paint the walls. But the individual does the work. That's a really important distinction. So, whenever you want to learn a specific process or skill, like mastering email marketing or mastering your funnels or creating an online store or scaling your social media presence. How do I live stream on social media? I've got a class for that. Any of those things, you are going to seek out a course because you want to do it yourself. So perhaps you've worked with a consultant and they said you really need to improve your online presence. You can do live streaming, you can do podcasting, you can do more social media posting, and you decide, you know what? I'm going to do live streaming. I just watched Zakia do it. It looks super easy, but I don't know the equipment. I don't know the tools, any of those things. Then you're going to seek out a course because you're not going to have a contractor do the live streams for you. The consultant sure as heck isn't going to do it, but you might pause when it's time to actually click that go live button because there's some kind of fear. Who are we reaching out to when there is a fear or a mindset thing? Any of those. Applied knowledge is power. Okay, I'm coming back to your comments really quickly. Hey, Stephanie, how are you? And people don't really understand the distinction. And I think that is why I got so frustrated with it because I took a lot of courses when I was starting my business journey. And I'm like, this is nothing near a course. There's nothing close to a course to it. It was a really good coaching program, but I walked away with no skills to be able to do what I signed up for in learning. And this gets to the point of if you call your course a coaching program or a consulting program, or something that it's not, ultimately you are creating false expectations, dissatisfied customers, and ultimately your learners are not going to be able to move forward with why they decided to engage with you in the first place. And then the last person I'm going to bring up is that contractor. So let's say that you have the complete strategy of what it takes. You have the mindset to go and get it done, but you have no interest in actually doing it yourself. This is where your contractor comes into play. So if we go back to our housing analogy, they execute the work. They're your plumber, they're your electrician, your painter, the person that's going to lay the floors down. Yep, I could watch it on YouTube, but with everything, you're either going to pay with your time or your money. And if you have the money to leverage a contractor, that's what you would do. Now, if you sell your services as coaching or consulting, but instead you're ending up as that contractor, your clients again may feel frustrated when they don't receive what it was that they're after. Now, the main reason I'm going over all of this before we start validating your course idea is I want to make sure that you actually have a course. And the biggest distinction is there some transformation of knowledge? Is there going to be a transition in the knowledge, the skills, or the abilities of the people that you are helping? If it's truly coaching, coaching has a place, but make sure you name it that way. So if you still think that, yes, I am absolutely building a course, I came here because I'm building a course, put a one in the chat. If you're like, well, what if I do all of them? Great. There is room for all of them, but the course that you build has to be something that actually does that transition for knowledge, skills, or ability. And I know there's like a 30-second delay. And spoiler alert, most solopreneurs, especially in the knowledge area, you do wear all the hats. You absolutely do. It's just that for your course, we have to make sure that you are transferring knowledge. And I don't know. So now let's get to the crux of it. Validation is why we are all here. That's the purpose of this first one in the series. So validation, cut and dry, is the process of actually confirming that your course idea addresses a genuine need or solves a specific problem that your audience actually has. There is no guesswork here. It is really about ensuring that what you are creating aligns with what they actually want and need rather than what you're assuming that they do. Because ultimately, what happens is when we assume, we know that saying, when we assume, I'm not going to say it because I don't want my thing blocked, but you know what I mean. So think of it as really checking your course blueprint before starting the construction of your course. So the same way you would not build a house without confirming the design is sound, you shouldn't create a course without validating that the foundation is there. Skipping validation when you create a course is the same thing. Without validating, you are guessing instead of building something that they really, truly need. But when you validate, you actually create what's known as a really solid base. And it also ensures that your time and your resources are really well spent. Now, let me tie this to something familiar for my instructional designers, especially those that are coming from the corporate space. In corporate environments, when we would validate, it would also kind of take the form of needs assessments. It always was an assessment. And we were trying to answer questions like what skills or knowledge gaps actually exist for the employees? What's causing those performance issues? So typically there would be an issue where people weren't following a process or something. There was a mismatch. We weren't getting the actual results. And then we were also trying to figure out how will addressing these gaps align with the business goals. And then ultimately, the real question was, is training the right solution for the problem? Now, we would use focus groups, surveys, interviews, and all of that to get to whatever the root problem was before designing a solution. Very, very time consuming. For entrepreneurs, you don't have a huge team, but you do have an audience. And if you don't have an audience, you have technology to help you with that validation. And so now I'm going to show you just a few ways when whether you have an audience or you don't have an audience, how you can validate that. And you've seen some of that with what I've been doing here on LinkedIn. So, step one is always to listen. Listen to your audience. Listen to what the data is actually showing you. So, whether you have an established audience or you're just getting started, I don't want you to think that, oh, I have no followers, I can't build a course. There are multiple ways that you can gather insights that will actually ensure that your course idea is something that your audience wants. So, let's start with what you should do or your options if you have an existing audience. If you already have an audience, I do want you to know that you are sitting on a gold mine of information. You just really need to tap into it. And here are the ways that you do that. I know you can't see that picture, but one of them is surveys and polls. The reason we're sitting here in this workshop right now is because I did a poll on LinkedIn asking you what content we should focus on. Online courses was head and shoulders above the rest. Now, if you don't have a LinkedIn group or somewhere that you could post it, you can also send surveys to your audience via email or, like I did here on LinkedIn on social media, asking them directly what they want to learn about. And then you want to look at how many people answer and what are their answers skewing to, and if you offered an other option. Another thing you can do is live stream Q&A sessions. You can host a session where you engage in real time. So I'm trying to make sure I stay on track here, but I keep glancing over at the comments to make sure that I'm not missing anything. And if something comes up that I have to stop, I'll be able to do that. But if you could do a dedicated live stream where you just talk about, hey, this is what I'm considering, what are some of your biggest challenges with it? Another thing you can do is observe community comments. This is where you want to pay attention to the questions that are happening, any recurring themes that you're seeing in online groups, forums, or in the comment section. And the last one is with lead magnets. You can offer free resources like a checklist, a mini guide, and you can also track which ones your audience download and which ones they engage with the most. And if you listen to my podcast episode, I talk about how I leverage every one of these to come up with this online course one and give you some examples. I will say with lead magnets, there was a lady, Vina Prashant. I absolutely love her. She has a quiz tool that I use on my Live Soap School website, and it allows you to quiz your audience. And she's also where I learned how to build lead magnets and the purpose of them. Lead magnets, in case you don't know, are just freebies that you are offering on your website so that people will give you their email address in exchange for whatever that freebie is. It can be a video tutorial, it could be a download, it could be a playlist, something that they will find valuable enough to give you their email address. Now, if you are just getting started, because I don't want to discount that. Not everybody has an audience that they can say, hey, tell me what you want. And then there's the cricket choir, right? If you don't have an established audience, I don't want you to worry. You can still gather valuable insights by using things like Google Trends. Google Trends is going to show you any popular search terms, any trending topics. People also ask when you go, if you do just a Google search on your topic, look down on Google and see what other questions are people asking about that. We could not be in 2025. This is no longer an evergreen piece of content because I've gave it a year, but tools like ChatGPT can help you brainstorm your course ideas or actually help you to uncover some common audience pain points based on any existing data that is out there. You can also use online groups or forums. You don't necessarily have to be the admin of a group, but you can join Facebook groups, Reddit threads, LinkedIn communities. LinkedIn has several groups, and if there is something specifically around your niche, make sure that you are there. And if your audience is active there, you want to sit back and observe those discussions and identify, again, any recurring problems or questions you can answer. I can tell you, now I'm not going to build this course, but I am in several sister locks groups, right? Because I have sister locks. The same questions come up over and over and over again. You know what I did? I created a YouTube video, not because I wanted to sell a course, but to answer those questions. That happens to be the number 4 most viewed video on my channel. And the reason for that is every time those questions come up, guess what I put in there? That YouTube video, and it sends it right to them. So perhaps you have an answer to some of those common questions. Start being helpful and not just salesy of, oh, I got to get them in my course. If you can be helpful, you will find that people will seek you out anyway. Another thing that you can do is to analyze what your competitors are doing, right? You can look at the top performing courses, the top blog posts, or social media accounts that are in your niche and read reviews to understand what people value and where it is very clear that they're being underserved and you have the solution with your course. So, whether you are gathering feedback from your existing audience or you're exploring kind of external sources, the key questions that I want you to keep in mind is what's the biggest challenge that my target audience is facing right now? And not necessarily how do I get them from A to Z? How do I get them from A to B, B to C, C to D? What are those individual steps? Because as you all know, and I talked to a business coach. She's my unofficial business coach. Her name is Sabrina, and we talk about this a lot. We are in a TikTok society. Nobody is signing up for a 9-hour course where they're going to sit down and go through step by step by step. But by you answering that question, it's going to give you possibly a course funnel or possibly a series. And you can build a course that really, really resonates. Okay. Any questions there? Let's see. We have Peachy saying quizzes are amazing as lead magnets for sure. Like, what's your I have a quiz. if you're somebody interested in live streaming, I'll add it to the resource. It's our live stream quiz. It'll tell you what your live stream persona is. So how you show up best on your live streams. And that was a great idea because here's the thing. Maybe now my channel, and I said straight up on that video, this is not a Sister Locks channel. However, I have Sister Locks. I have some answers to your questions, and perhaps they were interested in my handmade soap or my oil that I was using in my hair or what I was doing on the technology side. So maybe they stumbled because, folks are nosy. They're going to say, well, what else she got? Right. And so I gave them a way to find out what else I had. And if they're not my customer, they're not going to keep on going. Okay, validation step 2. So you validated it. People absolutely love your idea for a course. The ultimate test on if it's a good course is if somebody pays you for the course. But what you can do is test the market. This step really helps you to answer the question, does this resonate with my audience? And if you are building the course for profit, will people pay you for it? So, testing is going to allow you to actually validate your idea before investing too much time and money. That is the one resource that is not infinite. You have a set amount of it. So, you got to do it, or you have to make sure that you're making the most of it. And we don't get emotionally attached to it, right? And you let those real world results guide your next steps. And so I do have some steps for you to take. Let's see. Or would you say, hold on, let me go back. I missed the question. When you say monitor your audience to gather info, would LinkedIn be a great place to monitor your audience if your audience is there, Stephanie? But I think yes, yours is absolutely here. But I would be searching by the hashtags that they're using and then seeing who is generating so much buzz or conversation around what it is that they're doing, and then look at their comments, if that makes sense. Or would you say other social media platforms such as TikTok or IG would be better? It really depends on the topic area. The one hesitation I have with LinkedIn, unless you get into a really good groove and you've cultivated a really solid network, there seems to be a lot of humble bragging and not a lot of sharing in the comments, if that makes sense. So it may be a little more beneficial to use things like TikTok or YouTube. Instagram could be, but it really depends. Let's see. That video showed your versatility, which may turn them into followers and then a customer. Absolutely. I am not a one trick pony, guys. When I say I have 4 businesses that seem completely separate until you dig under the hood and you're like, oh, they absolutely make sense. But yeah, absolutely. And I do want you all to access the resource hub because it gives you the steps in order to create the freebie, run a mini pilot, and then also test it on social media. So something that you may have seen me do is I shared audiograms from the podcast. That podcast has the most views out of all of the podcast, or the most listens and downloads out of all of the podcasts in the last year. So that was one of my tickers of, wait, people might really be interested in this. I then did a campaign where I just shared snippets of what I would be talking about in this series, and then kind of just watched and seen. And what was seen is not the right word in that sentence. I watched what people resonated with, and it's not always in the comments. You have to pay attention, especially on LinkedIn. There are lots and lots and lots of looky-loos and lurkers. No shade, none to that. But I don't want you to get concerned that nobody's commenting. Look at your analytics. I might have had maybe 6 comments, but when I looked at the analytics and people who engaged with either the video, the podcast, um, or on the actual post, astronomical. So I knew there was interest there. And Erica is saying, love your audiograms. They will be in Spanish and English going forward. Spanish, it will be an AI voice, but that sound the interesting thing about the Spanish translation, and I used AI for that one, is it sounded more like me in Spanish than it did in English. That's true. The analytics will tell you the real story for sure. So we talked about validating and testing the market. But I want to also make sure that we cover some AI tools so it makes your job a little bit easier. AI really helps you to eliminate the guesswork and help you to uncover insights to really guide your next steps in your course. So let's start by considering some AI tools we all maybe know and love. And that starts with generative AI. Chat GPT, I say use that one to brainstorm course topics. Also, use it to create validation questions or even design your poll questions for LinkedIn. Additionally, there's Gemini. Gemini, I use a little bit differently. That's great for generating really creative prompts and exploring unique angles on what your audience might want to see. And then Claude is ideal for breaking down really complex data and making it really actionable. So if you use it, that is fantastic. Um, so the one that we're actually going to look at tonight is Eureka. It is perfect for discovering what's trending in your niche, analyzing what your competitors are doing, identifying market gaps, and then also they even within the last week, so I can't demonstrate it, guys, but in the last week, they updated it to have a rapid course publisher. So you know I am the queen of minimal viable product. It helps you to build a minimal viable course. And then the other tool that I highly recommend is Maker Suite. Now, it's generally used by YouTubers to research what's out there, create their scripts and all of that, but the general idea is it's helping you to build your content using AI. So we now due to time constraints, we will do a very brief high level walkthrough of Eureka, but if you'd like me to do a demonstration of Maker Suite, I'm going to ask you to put it in the comments because that'll tell me they care about that or they don't. And then we will do that on another live stream on another day. So who do I have here? OMG. I use mm, great minds. Fran told us. Let's see. Lorraine from the California side. Hi, Miss Lorraine. Happy New Year. I just learned something new. What did you learn new, Erica? I know there's a delay, so I probably need to just keep going until you can type it back in because you're hearing that 10 seconds after I say it. Oh, wait, I didn't want to jump right to our action plan. We went too far. We went too far. I'm supposed to take you into Eureka. Let's see. And let's do an actual walkthrough of why I think this is so important. Can you all see this screen? Unfortunately, I don't have the highest resolution, so it may be a little bit difficult to see, but I'm hoping that you can see this. You love this color? We changed it when Nyla came home. Thank you. But I want to go back to the blonde and brown. Sorry, I digress, guys. All right. So Eureka allows you to research a keyword, your course idea, and I'm going to start really broad and then I'm going to get really narrow. So with this one, it's asking me straight up, what course topic are you interested in? I'm going to say marketing, right? And what Eureka does is it searches all of the course platforms. It tells you how many courses are out there. More importantly, how many students are enrolled in those courses, how many platforms actually have courses on that particular topic, what niches are covered, and the average price. We kind of ignore the average price because when you have things like Skillshare or Udemy, they are typically membership sites where you're not paying for the individual courses. But this is a great starting point. Now, this is very broad, but that was so I could keep it very general and I knew I would get results. You would want to get very specific with what your course topic is. What I like about it is it also gives you an opportunity score telling you what the demand is for this particular course. It also shows you trends, and these are Google trends on how often people are searching for that particular thing. You can say, okay, well, just show me US only. Still pretty good. And actually, the opportunity score for is higher in US only. Down below, and there are additional filter options up here. So you can say, okay, but I want to know, tell me about artificial intelligence in marketing, right? And let's apply that and see what the world is saying right here. So this one here, future proof your marketing, generative AI integration for ROI optimization. I would never name a course that, but obviously somebody it has an estimated earning of $37,000 with over 1,400 students. And guess where it's at? Right on LinkedIn. Nano tips for marketing and creativity. I don't have one yet, but you can go right there, Erica. Don't worry, we'll get one. I don't have one for this one, but it was too good not to share. Right? So, but I don't really like this niche. They don't have really good course. I like the niche, but what does that tell me? There is a plethora, Peachy, there is a plethora of opportunity for marketing and AI. It's not out there yet. And that's my feet running to go and build it, right? All right. So let me just take it back to marketing because I want to actually get something that I can look at and we can see what it returns. And I want to see based on highest estimated earnings. I'm going to sort it. Facebook ads, estimated earnings of $38 million with over 222,000 students enrolled, and the average course price is $174. Haha, this one might be up my alley. LinkedIn video marketing for personal and brand pages. We're going to go with that one for $500. So I click on the course. What Eureka does is it goes and gets the copy of the sales page. So what are they saying about this course? Additionally, it gives you the outlines. So when you're considering what is it that I'm going to build, what has already been built and what's resonating. But where the magic happens with this is it has AI gap analysis to see, okay, what's missing from the course. Based on the given course content, here is what's missing. They didn't even do an introduction to the LinkedIn platform. Now, you might not need an introduction to it. Technical aspects of video production, all in my live streaming class. Target audience analysis, content strategy, legal and ethical considerations. Don't be playing nobody's music, copyright. Advanced LinkedIn features like scheduling your live events, case studies and examples, engagement and community building, trends and innovations, and then evaluation and iteration. So, if you were building your course, wouldn't you want to make sure that you are covering some of these aspects if you have expertise in it? There is more because we can actually copy this and start building out an outline for what we want. Additionally, it will analyze the reviews of what people said about the course. There is power in what people say. So the overall negative sentiment is minimal. Primarily revolves around technical issues such as the videos not playing. So you want to make sure that you have a really solid um, video experience, which hinders the learning experience. There's also slight mention of feeling overwhelmed by the idea of creating videos frequently. So, what would I talk about? I would talk about creating once and repurposing 50 million times with that same piece of content and indicating that the course might be intense for some users. I would say so. There were way too many modules. Again, going back to taking learners from A to Z instead of maybe just A, B, and C. Some interesting insights into these negative reviews reveal that technical stability and realistic expectations, again, setting up those objectives right at the beginning so people know what to do. Additionally, there are positive reviews. What did people like about it? is based on the course being practical, informative, and engaging. So don't show up and be queen boring if you're going to do something there. The instructor's teaching style is highlighted as a major plus, making the content easy to understand and follow. Many reviews also appreciate the course's motivational, Lord, trying to put two words together, motivational and actionable content, which is particularly beneficial for beginners. So a lot of beginners are taking that. And then it gives you insights for improvement based on what it found. Guys, this is hugely powerful and just another use case of leveraging AI, not to copy and paste, but to make your brainstorming and research that much better or that much more efficient. I would have to go hunting and pecking all over. I actually need to save that because I'm going back for that one. Another one, it allows you to do book research. And I'm really excited because when I searched for vegan soap, because I made the vegan soap cookbook, by the way, shameless plug, but not shameless at all. And it's also National Vegan Week. I learned that here on LinkedIn from Marcia. And so I wanted to look up, okay, what are books doing in the industry? So I just did vegan soap. You can type in your topic right there. And when I do a search, whose book is that? That's my book coming up in the AI tool, which I was so excited about. Unfortunately, it only gives you the description for my book because I had it turned off where you can't have book previews. But other books in the industry, like this Beyond Soap one, which means when I go and publish this last book in the new Soap Makers Cookbook series, I will have to have it turned on. But for research purposes, we can see the contents. What are they covering in the book? Can I cover that in my book? Am I missing that in my book? Right? There you go. So it has that. Now, aside from the research, you can go ahead and build your course. So I'm not going to go into detail with that because I really wanted to stick with the validation for tonight's workshop. And I also want to make sure I leave time for your questions. And so, wait, I think I have another slide. I have another slide, Carol Ann. Oh, I know why. I gotta switch us. Okay, so we did our live demonstration. Your action plan. This is not just sit and listen to Zakia talk. I want you to take action. The first thing I want you to do when you leave, or if you haven't done so already, write down your course idea. And then I want you to choose one, just one. I know you're like, nope, I'm going to do surveys. I'm going to do polls. I'm going to join communities. I'm going to do chat GPT. One, Carol Ann, just one validation method and implement it in the next 7 days. And then I want you to track your results and refine your idea based on the feedback. I also want you to access that course resource hub, download that course validation blueprint, and I really want to hear your feedback, any questions that you may have, and then join us for workshop 2, which will be happening on the 15th, where we will actually show you how to build your course and where you can host it online, whether it's free or paid. So now I have time to answer your questions. And I have a QR code here on the screen where if you are looking at me on YouTube, I know the YouTube folks typically watch me on the television, you can scan it. Otherwise, you can head to links.businesstechlab.com/online course toolkit and access all of the resources. Every week, I will update it with the new workbook, the new podcast episode, the recording, and any tools that I mentioned. Hopefully, some of them will be affiliate links so that I actually get some kind of a kickback. But one thing that I promise you all is I will never recommend a tool that I don't use and absolutely love. And I see some of you are scanning that QR code, which is absolutely amazing. Let's see what you're going to say over here. Stephanie said she could see it. Thank you for joining us, Stephanie. Erica said, I learned about Eureca. Now looking forward to the walkthrough. That was a very rudimentary walkthrough. I was just trying to show you the validation part of it. Next week, we'll go into actually building, but we won't be using that. We'll be using something else. What's this? I'm going to need your affiliate. I will get one. You see it? Wow, gap analysis. I want this tool. Yes, repurposing, guys. If you are overwhelmed with video content, this video, if you are connected with me on LinkedIn, you are going to see 2 or 3 iterations of it in the next 3 days. I am not creating another new piece of content until we meet again in 2 weeks. It will all come from things that I've already done. Eureca needs to partner and sponsor this series. Hey, Juan, how are I miss Latanya. Latanya, I owe you a whole bunch of chat GPT prompts. I will get back to you ASAP. ASAP. But it's really good to have all of you here. I'm hoping that you got something out of tonight. And what I really want you to walk away are a few things. Number one, are you actually building a course? Is it a course? Are you a contractor? Are you a consultant or a coach? You may be all of them, but when you're putting a course to what it is that you're doing, is there an actual need to it? And what problem are you solving? And the best way to do it is to make sure that you are validating it with your audience and build small. Do not take a whole lot of time and try and build out this really enormous thing that probably will never see the light of day because you got to add one more piece and another piece. Look at society today and how people are leveraging social media, and you will see that that's probably not even necessary. In a quick story, my books happen to be right here, or 2 of them at least. These books, don't look at my nails. I see you looking at my nails. These books are really short reads, really short. And that was done intentionally because if I set out to make the ultimate soap maker's book, I would have still been writing it. But instead, I was able to break them down into a series of 4. And what I know for sure, this new vegan soap cookbook, head and shoulders above the rest. And then the answers to the top 50 questions. Those 2 bestsellers. The other 2, that was like my tribe who wanted to support me or people who want to learn how. But long story short, if you're writing a book, if you're creating a course, make sure that there is an audience for it. Make sure that you are validating it and then that you are also ensuring that you aren't wasting your time or your resources going down a rabbit hole. Let's see. Grateful to have caught this live. You've dropped so many gems. Thank you for all this information. I'm looking forward to the next one. Be sure to RSVP on LinkedIn events because it's already there and I'll schedule it for my YouTube folks and Facebook. Thank you, Latanya, fellow soap maker. Hey, girl. I have 4 and they help me so much. I am so grateful. I am so grateful. All right, everybody, we have made it to with 2 minutes to spare. Talk about efficient. So I'm hoping that you have gotten something out of this. Be sure to visit the course validation blueprint in the online resource hub. Send me your feedback. Send me your questions. If you are working through it and you're like, this is the worst thing since sliced bread, let me know. If it's the best thing since sliced bread, let me know. And if you have specific questions about building an online course that you want to make sure that we cover in this series, send me a DM or send it on the resource toolkit. And if I don't see anything else, I do not. I am going to bid you all a very, very happy new year. May it be very prosperous and all of that good stuff. And thank you for joining me live. Be sure to share it with a friend or another friend and let them know that we will be here for 4 or 3 more. This was the first out of 4. But we'll be here and I'll see you all on another episode. Bye-bye. It won't show that That didn't do what I wanted it to do. I wanted like music playing. We're gonna pretend there's music. Ain't no stopping. Y'all don't want me to sing. I ain't gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm a contractor. Oh, great job. Thank you guys. Erica saying, I'm a contractor. I would like to create a course as an introduction to working with me. That's a great one. What is it like to work with me? Fantastic.